Trump Unfiltered. Words that shaped a war, a region, and the rules of power, the modern battlefield, where diplomacy ends and personality reigns in today's geopolitical landscape. Wars are no longer declared, they are triggered by algorithms, drone flights, economic sanctions, and perhaps most unpredictably, by words, especially when those words come from someone like Donald J. Trump. The Iran-Israel conflict in the summer of 2025 is a striking example of this new era of warfare where the boundaries between battlefield and broadcast, between strategy and showmanship, are increasingly blurred. Trump, stepping back into the global spotlight, didn't fire the first missile, but he certainly lit the fuse. The opening shots, a strike without warning, when Israeli F-35 stealth fighters crossed into Iranian airspace in June, targeting critical nuclear infrastructure. The world held its breath. While Israel did the fly-in, it was quickly revealed that U.S. satellite coordination, electronic warfare teams, and strategic targeting systems had played a key role. Shortly after the strikes, Trump appeared in a televised address. "We worked together like no military alliance has ever worked before," he said. The Ayatollah thought he was safe. He was wrong. Iran's nuclear game is over. His tone was triumphant, almost cinematic. He was not simply announcing news, he was delivering a performance, carefully choreographed to project dominance, decisiveness, and an ironclad alliance with Israel. But Iran was not destroyed. It was enraged, and the war had just begun. Twitter diplomacy and shock doctrine. The Trump playbook. In the days that followed, Trump turned his attention to social media. From his personal platform, he released a string of messages that walked the razor's edge between deterrence and provocation. Iran has 72 hours to choose peace or obliteration. The Ayatollah is on borrowed time. We do not bluff. These messages weren't just for Iran, they were also for his base, for his political rivals, and for the world at large. It was a return to the Trump doctrine of ambiguity. No one could predict whether he would launch a full-scale invasion or broker a Nobel Peace Prize winning deal. In many ways, that was the point. Unpredictability, in Trump's view, is power. Military might. In the age of algorithms, the strikes on Iranian nuclear sites were not traditional bombings. They were precision attacks supported by real-time satellite data, AI-guided targeting, and deep cyber interference. Iran's defense systems, many Russian-made, were overwhelmed by electromagnetic jamming and coordinated decoy. For Trump, it was a chance to showcase not only US force, but technological supremacy. "We hit their most secure sites without losing a single pilot. That's the future of war," he proclaimed. Behind the scenes, US and Israeli generals acknowledged that the operation marked a turning point, a move away from boots on the ground toward a doctrine of remote-controlled dominance. Drones, hypersonic missiles, and quantum-secured comms were the new tools of warfare. Iran strikes back, the fragile illusion of control, but Iran didn't collapse. Within 48 hours, it launched one of the largest retaliatory strikes in modern Middle Eastern history. Over 1,200 ballistic and cruise missiles aimed at Israeli and US targets, swarming drones over the heights in Tel Aviv, cyber attacks targeting infrastructure in Europe and the US. Many of these threats were intercepted, but not. The human costs began to rise. Civilians in Tel Aviv and Tehran hid in underground shelters. Oil prices surged. Markets trembled. Global airlines rerouted flights. And all the while, Trump remained defiant. "They hit us because they're weak. We hit them because we're strong." Strategic duality. Deal or destruction. Despite the aggression, Trump insisted he was open to peace. "We can end this tomorrow with one phone call. But if not, our patience has limits." This balancing act, offering peace with one hand while holding a sword in the other, defined Trump's approach. Some diplomats praised it as necessary toughness. Others condemned it as reckless, a flamethrower in a room full of gas cans. But again, Unpredictability was the strategy. Domestic calculations. War and the White House back home. Trump's approval rating spiked. A war, even a limited one, had historically rallied American voters around the flag. Conservative media called him a wartime president without war, yet critics warned that Trump was playing a dangerous game, escalating for attention, risking regional catastrophe for electoral gain. Behind the scenes, advisors were split. Some pushed for further strikes to fully cripple Iran's capabilities. Others urged restraint, fearing blowback from militias in Iraq, Yemen, and Syria. A global stage reacts around the world. Reactions were mixed. Israel hailed the alliance as the strongest in decades. Iran declared it would never surrender, vowing a war without end of force. Europe urged calm and diplomacy. Russia and China moved warships into the Gulf for observation. The United Nations called for an emergency session, but Trump dismissed it, saying the UN watches while we act. The 12-day war, a pause, not peace. After nearly 2 weeks of near-constant bombardment, Trump declared a unilateral ceasefire. Iran, visibly battered, paused its offensive. Israel scaled back strikes. And us forces stood ready but still. The war is over, Trump declared, because we made it end. In truth, nothing had ended. Iran's proxies remained active. The nuclear program had gone deeper underground, and the hatred that fueled the conflict for decades was still alive. But for Trump, it was a narrative victory, and in modern warfare, that sometimes counts more than territory gained or enemies defeated. What the future holds. A world rewritten by one voice. As the dust settles, one thing becomes clear. Donald Trump didn't just influence the conflict, he redefined it. His voice was a weapon. His unpredictability was a strategy. His dominance of the media cycle was as impactful as any airstrike. We now live in a world where a single tweet can move missiles, where speeches are as strategic as soldiers, and where the line between showmanship and statesmanship is dangerously thin. Final word. When power speaks without restraint, the 2025 Iran-Israel conflict may be remembered, but for its broadcasts, for the way one man used language, image, and power to bend reality to his will, even if only temporarily. Trump didn't invent this new era of power, but he embraced it, weaponized it, and perhaps, for better or worse, defined it. As the world waits for the next flip, one thing is certain: the battlefield is no longer just out there, it's everywhere. And the war for influence never truly ends.